Carlton King, former Scotland Yard Special Branch and MI6 officer and the author of Black Ops.
I was undercover for Special Branch in a jihadi organisation.
If you'd like to help Carlton keep producing the Black Spy podcast and receive episodes and information that's only available to Carlton's special Patreon agents, then you can donate as little as £3, €4 or $5 a month by signing up with Patreon. See the Black Spy podcast notes or Google Patreon Black Spy podcast and pledge your monthly amount. You can even win the opportunity to be a guest on the show. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to subscribe for free.
My name is Carlton King, and welcome to the Black Spy podcast, the show that shines a light on the world of secret intelligence, national security, and armed governmental personal protection operations, but actually majors in on geopolitics. This week, we're looking at part 2 of the programme I started last week. No, thank you very much on that, Fergs. So tell me, Dr. Rachel, if you are a vegetarian, a vegan, and you're not using bones, right? Because clearly, if you're not going to eat the meat, you don't want the bones, do you?
No.
What are you going to do for this? For what is it called again? Calcium? Not calcium.
Collagen.
Collagen. Because I'm not even familiar with it.
Every day is a school day, Carlton. Every day is a school day.
Every day is a school day. Absolutely, I'm learning.
But it's okay because the next one that I'm going to do, I can't pronounce either, so it's all right. sit in your comfort bubble on the fact that you're not as clueless as you think you are. Because
Thank you very much.
The next vitamin that I'm going to throw into the arena, I can't pronounce either. But ask your question because it's an interesting answer.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
How do vegetarians and vegans get it?
Yeah, if you're a vegetarian, then you know there is such thing as marine collagen. So using like phytoplankton.
Yep.
But if you are vegan, obviously you're not going to want anything to do with anything that may have had life. So what you're looking at is you're looking at alternatives. You're looking for amino acids like glycine, lysine, and proline. So those are the most active amino acids within collagen, and you can get it in plant-based food. Tofu, certain beans like black beans, pistachio nuts, cashews, pumpkin, sunflower, and chia seeds. But again, because of where it comes from, it's not a cheap thing to have. Because you're looking at you want to have like cold press, it's not like cold pressed virgin versions of all of these, which, are not going to be cheap. And because the manufacturers will automatically know that somebody's doing it for the sort of the collagen alternative, is that they'll hike the price up because, people who want to look young obviously don't have a painful price point. The cost benefit analysis goes out the window.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. So
look,
next one. All right. So next one in the vitamin bingo. Okay. So I'm going to preface this by saying that listeners might know, because I might have shared this before, but I'm not. As a result of having the first COVID vaccine, my body reacted in a slightly unusual way, and I've basically developed very aggressive psoriasis. And Dr. Rachel's been very kind and patient with me, and I've kind of gotten to the point where I've completely beaten the I went through the NHS treatment, it didn't work, and what Dr. Rachel's gotten as I would say I'm down to about 30%. But one of the so So I'm doing a combination of things, but one of the wonder supplements that she recommended, I'm just going to abbreviate as NAC because I can't actually pronounce it. But hopefully, Dr. Rachel can tell us all about this.
Yeah, I mean, would you like me to call it its proper name?
Absolutely. Full name.
Yeah, N-acetyl.
Or we could just call it NAC.
Yeah, NAC. Yeah, that's what all the trendy people call it, Fergus. NAC. You know, it's both an antioxidant and an expectorant. So
okay, I'm gonna have a go. N-acetyl cysteine.
cysteine. You're nearly there. So I mean, the thing is that what's really helpful with this supplement is that it actually helps to replenish the glutathione levels, and glutathione is really essential for helping our liver to process toxins within the body. And this is something that I'm very passionate about, because you'll see at certain times in the year, you know, you'll see medical doctors saying, oh, the liver doesn't need any help it's very good at processing things. You don't need to have any kind of liver detox or anything like that. If you've not got enough glutathione levels, then the liver is going to struggle to a certain extent. NAC is a really good supplement to help your whole detox system, which it's not just about sort of the liver, it's about your whole immune system. It's about on that, micro level. So we're going like below a cellular level, and it's helping to actually support your body in your body being able to do, what it needs to do. It's a really useful antidote, particularly for people who have, got quite a lot of pollutants and toxin buildup within their body.
So just to be a little bit political here, do you want to comment in terms of this and the new COVID jab agenda?
Well, I just think that, as a professional, I'm aghast at the messaging that still is going on with that treatment, because I don't know how they can even call it a vaccine, because it doesn't stop anybody getting it. I think that they're not open enough with the side effects. I think there's not been enough people who have actually reported any kind of adverse effects. They reckon that there's only 10% that have gone on to the yellow card system, and it's really interesting because the senators in the US and Australia are far more vociferous and far more questioning and curious and questioning representatives from the pharmaceutical manufacturers around the I suppose the manipulation and the coercion and the lack of transparency and information that they already knew. And we're not having that level of debate or discussion in the UK. And I think for a lot of people, both the people who don't want to think that they might have been manipulated or misrepresented by leaders in this country, and those who are starting to question it, we really need to, start talking about the cost benefit analysis of whether it is worth you needing to have this gene therapy treatment. And that's what it is. It's gene therapy treatment. And I think we need to start talking about it in those terms, whether it's going to be better for you because you're over 80, you're more likely to have quite a severe reaction to catching any kind of whatever variant is around, or whether actually the mechanisms of that gene therapy are going to stir up in you far more issues than you would have had otherwise. I think there's enough evidence, even in just if we just do it on from a UK basis, we have enough evidence from people in this country. But if you take it globally, there is enough evidence globally to show that something is going on with people's health, and I think quite a lot of people do need to sort of just look at and think, is my body struggling? Do I need some help? Do I feel like I'm carrying toxins? Are things not working like they used to? Am I having severe immune system reactions? There is, it's like the elephant in the room that not many people talk about, and it's like everybody dances around it.
Well, do you know what, Dr. Rachel? Another elephant in the room before I give Carlton his last go, which I think might be the last go of the episode. But another elephant in the room, which maybe you can just confirm or deny, right? Is I read an article somewhere about parasites.
Yeah.
Like so parasitic diseases need vitamins to survive. So. Yeah. So like malaria or something. So is that true? And B, like is the vitamin industry sort of secretly feeding the parasites in a funny way?
Well, the thing with parasites is that they are the ultimate survivors, and if you have got parasites, then they are going to be taking everything that you have in your body until you have nothing left. So of course, the vitamin industry is going to, be saying, well, you need more of this if you have got parasitic disease, because you're going to have, literally nothing left because a parasite is taking everything. Now, the thing that people need to do is ensure that the parasites are completely gone from their body, and then start rebuilding their system. But you need to be really careful, depending on what kind of parasitic disease you've had, in that it's going to have weakened your whole system. So you have to look at getting better over a slower slower time period. It's not going to again happen overnight, and especially people who have had things like Lyme disease, which is, one of the most common parasitic, diseases. They can often have had it for years and have, depleted body systems for years. And it can take people years to actually get better from it. And they have to have a whole range of different interventions to support them in getting well. And it's really interesting because they might need sort of physical health, support for that, but most people who've had a parasitic disease also need like psychological intervention, because most of them have been told it's all in their head, and this, it's like for people who have had that kind of disease, my heart goes out to them, because most of the time is that they will be told that they're just imagining it. So, and then
before Carlton jumps in, can we just talk about this in context of war zones and other experiences that you've been in where parasites are rife and medication isn't?
I mean, I'm going to put one. I'm going to throw one in there. I wanted to come in actually because I want to throw one on that, which my father told me about years ago, before he's been dead many years now. Now, he was in the Second World War, basically from 39, 40 onwards, in what they used to call the Merchant Marine. So that is in being on board the old ships and really taking the food from Empire, bringing it to Britain so that the people can survive in the United Kingdom and the war can keep going. Now, what he did say is he said that, and there's a question here whether people believe him. So this is coming to you, Dr. Rachel, to answer the question. So apparently, I think it's like 1941, something like that, past the Atlantic. And there they are going through. And one fella had a big problem all the time. He was eating, but he was going thinner and thinner. And he couldn't see what the problem was. So he said at one stage, they said, OK, let's basically fast you to get you right to eat again, if that makes sense to you. That's basically what they were talking about. And so then somebody thought, no, I know what this is. This is a tapeworm. It's eating all your food. Right, so they basically, this is what the storyline is that gets now wondrous. They basically put some rice outside of his mouth, and the tapeworm, still clamped in as it is, because there's that much, came out to take the rice. Now, Tell me how realistic that story is or not.
Well, unless you're there, you can't say if it's true or not. But it is like, various iterations of that, are out there. But the fact is that any kind of parasite, and this includes tapeworms, will eat whatever they can within the body. So the food, if you're eating food, that's the most bioavailable food source for it. But if not, then they'll start on other things that they can get, literally their teeth into. So it's
Is it a possibility that this was so hungry because they starved the guy, and now the tapeworm's coming out to try and grab? And if anybody else is listening who's been in that sort of circumstance and wants to write and say, no, this is rubbish, or yes, this has happened to me in wartime circumstances, or just in pure hunger. This is apparently what happened to this guy. But I wanted for Dr. Rachel to say whether she thought that was realistic.
I don't think it is entirely realistic, but of course I'll stand to be corrected. just because of where they are in the intestinal system, it would be pretty difficult for them to rear their head, so to speak. But of course, if somebody has witnessed it and can put us right, then that. But look at knowing the digestive system as I do and where they settle in the digestive system, it'd have to be a pretty big tapeworm.
It was very big, apparently, very big.
Yeah, it would literally.
Is this like one of those sort of fishing stories where it's like, oh yeah, it's this big, and then
it was this big, and it was that big.
I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to say.
No, hang on. I've got two more. I have to ask because I'm sat here. So I've got also, and this is what I used to have as a kid, and people have it all the time. Cod liver oil.
Cod liver oil. Well, that's got the omegas in it. Yeah.
Is that what that's for, the omegas?
Yeah. I mean, it's also got vitamin A and D in it. So, so it's good for your immune system. It's good for cellular growth. It's good for your eyes and from the reproduction system. And it can also help decrease sort of blood clot formations. And so I think that's I think cod liver oil is a lot gentler than some of the blood thinners I prescribe to people.
So excellent to take then.
Yeah. If you have inflammation in your body as well, it can reduce inflammation. And as ever, it's like just take what you need till you feel a difference.
Right.
People who shouldn't take cod liver oil are people who have got liver disease.
Right. The recommendation on this one is for 1 tablet daily.
Yeah. I mean, and this is what you need to do. I mean, I'm going to cut it because we've not touched on one of my favorite vitamins, vitamin D. Is that I just want to say to anybody who's listening, if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, everybody who lives in the Northern Hemisphere needs to supplement with vitamin D.
Right.
You need to. We do not have enough, and there's so many neurological conditions, and just depression and sadness, and everybody who lives in the Northern Hemisphere really needs to supplement, and you need to get quite a high level of vitamin D. I mean, if some people have more deficiency than others, because obviously we all have different skin color, different eye colors, depending on what our eye color and skin color is, depends on how much vitamin D our brain can generate.
This is coming through the melanin and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's coming through and the visual cortex, and this is something else, is that you need to not always wear sunglasses. That's really important, because if you're wearing sunglasses, then the sun rays cannot get absorbed by the visual cortex. So don't wear them all the time. I know it's like people wear them to look cool, but it's not cool if you're vitamin D deficient. So I just want everybody should be supplementing with vitamin D in the Northern Hemisphere.
Interesting. So now I've got another one. Last one. High strength vitamin C plus vitamin D.
Yeah.
Those tablets which you just said the D.
Yeah.
So the high strength vitamin C, there's a tablet which is soluble. You put it in a glass, boom, it froths up. It says 1 a day. What's your position on that?
I definitely think that quite a lot of people are vitamin C deficient. But if you eat a lot of green leafy veg, and it's like from a good source, and you shouldn't really need sort of that vitamin C supplementation unless you're feeling under the weather.
Right.
So it's like people need to connect with their bodies more. If you're feeling under the weather, if you're feeling like you possibly have like some sort of virus coming on, really utilize that vitamin C supplementation. If you don't have like broccoli is like the superfood for vitamin C.
Oh, interesting.
It really is. So we need to start getting used to looking to what food we have and how that is actually making us feel good. We need to be getting less reliant on
straight through you though, doesn't it? I mean, a vitamin C goes through you.
Yeah, so it's water soluble. Definitely, it's water soluble. So this is why you need to have leafy veg every single day.
Mm-hmm. And this is sort of added with D. Is that good for it to be added with D?
Yes, it is good, but equally we need to take advantage of whatever sunlight we get. This is it. So we need to supplement. Obviously vitamin D. Everyone needs to supplement with it. But when you go outside, we particularly need UVB rays. Which is really unfortunate because it's a bit of a clash with sort of recommendation for avoiding skin cancer. But for everybody, you can stand 10 minutes of sunlight, which is essential before you put any kind of sun cream on, because we need those UVB rays as much as we need to protect our skin, because we have this interaction with the photons from sunlight, which actually keeps us really healthy.
And honestly, just an easy way to put this into context, because I've just lived this summer, it's just when you have your cup of coffee in the morning, just even if it's 5 o'clock in the morning, because that's the only time you get child free, just have it outside.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of times I've just put my raincoat on and sat and had my coffee outside just to.
Yeah.
So
that's the best thing you can do, definitely.
So keeping the scorecard, as I said, I was keeping the scorecard. We've actually gone through several vitamin additives.
Yeah.
You haven't said to any that they are not good. So my big question is going to be, if you put these all together, is it problematic? If you're taking in one day cod liver oil, vitamin D, not calcium, what did you call it? Collagen, vitamin C. If you're taking every day all of these, is that in itself not problematic?
No, it's not problematic. I mean, you can, if you need to have all of those, get a good multivitamin, and you can even get a good multivitamin which has like omega oils in it as well. The thing is that people need to start addressing their diet and thinking, what is deficient in my diet, or where am I getting my food from? How processed is it? Do I need to have this, or how am I feeling? It's like people need to start connecting with themselves more and taking responsibility for are they getting any of these vitamins and minerals from their diet? Is there something deficient? And for most people, you can ask to get like a blood test done, which is going to test all of your vitamin and mineral levels. And if you feel unwell, and you've never had this done, before you leap to any conclusions, or before you just say to the doctor about some of the symptoms without saying, actually I've been really sad and really depressed, but I've not been eating properly, I've not been sleeping properly, before you get given any kind of prescription drug, ask for your blood to be tested first to completely rule out any vitamin and mineral deficiency that could be underlying the problem. And this is something that we can do.
Why would a doctor not do that automatically?
No, they won't do it automatically, because don't forget, it's literally a sausage factory, isn't it?
Right.
And you need to remember as well that as much as people have been conditioned to go to a GP to come out waving a piece of paper, the GP has also been conditioned to give that patient a piece of paper. So sometimes you just need to, and this is what, this goes full circle to what I was saying right at the start of the call. It's like literally, take control and just say, well, actually, I've not had my blood levels checked in quite some time. Would it be possible to have all my vitamins and minerals, checked, just to make sure that I'm not deficient in anything?
Right. Interesting. So, I mean, Dr. Rachel, so keeping the scorecard.
And actually, there is a kit you can actually do it yourself. It costs $12.99.
What's that? Explain that, Fergus. I don't understand.
You can actually, if you're not as squeamish as me, and you can happily pinprick yourself to get your blood sample, you can actually do this test yourself.
All right. Who's offering that?
I'll put several platforms. The cheapest one I can find is $12.99. I will put something that Dr. Rachel approves in the chat.
Because the reason why I asked you that, I was a little bit fearful. Was this the same as that lady who recently was in prison in the United States for a super tester?
Definitely not that. But all I'm saying is that you can, circling back to what Dr. Rachel says, you can actually sort of prescribe, self-medicate. All right. So look, to wrap this up, right, Dr. Rachel, if our listeners take nothing at the moment, and let's assume that they all have healthy diets and are living healthy lives, like we want our listeners to be healthy people, but if there were one supplement that you would suggest would improve their well-being, what would it be?
A vitamin B complex.
What's the complex bit?
It's all the vitamin Bs that you need, and that, from my perspective of someone who is really keen on helping the nervous system and people feel better. It really, all the B vitamins really help to enable you to focus, enable you to have interest, and also it stops any kind of nerve pain, and it just really helps the brain to sharpen as well.
Right. Okay. So on all the ones that I mentioned, B isn't involved in them.
No, we talked about B12 initially at the beginning, and obviously the vitamin B complex contains a version of that. But for me, looking around and sort of seeing the trends in unwellness, quite a lot of unwellness which is around, for me, comes from a more vegan trend of living, and this is having a massive effect on particularly sort of mood and the ability for the brain to function.
I'm glad you said that, because I just wanted to ask one question before we cut her up for today, and that was steak. Okay, meat. Yeah. I like it. I'm not going to lie to you. I like it. People say, oh, you shouldn't be eating red meat, you shouldn't be doing this, that, and the other. And more importantly, I like the fat from it.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong, Dr. Rachel.
You're not wrong. That I'm not going to argue with that. And this is the thing, as long as you're not eating it 3 times a day and challenging yourself to having sort of the Texan, mighty meaty, it's like, for me, we need that red meat. Our prefrontal cortex needs that red meat, but again, it's going back to the provenance. It's going back to how that animal was treated, how it was butchered, how long it's, what has happened to that meat since. Has it been injected with anything? You really need to know your meat provenance, and we don't need a lot of red meat to be well. And the fat from red meat is, it's good for us, as long as we're not having really ultra high processed fats in other way. If you're eating a whole food diet, then the fat that's on a steak is a really good source of fat. It's a really, we could eat it, definitely.
Super duper, you've made me a happy man, Dr. Rachel.
I'm glad about that, because you made me smile with your singing.
That's great. So quid pro quo. Love it. Fergus, do you have anything more to say?
No, honestly, I feel like I feel like I'm now going to go to the bathroom cabinet and just strip out any rubbish that's in there, and I now feel like I've sort of got a vitamin toolkit to take
That's
forward.
The one.
But let's do a poll, right? So I'm a medium rare steak person. I won't lie. I know people. I used to pretend to be a rare steak person to be trendy. but honestly, I'm like a medium rare person.
I'm a rare to medium rare, so I am a rare to medium rare. I could take either.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. Isn't it? But like my husband's a blue steak person.
Right. Okay.
I can't do that.
Yeah. I have steak tartare when I'm in France.
Oh, love it, love it, love
steak
it,
tartare,
love
oh my god, yeah. Well, that's a whole nother conversation. That is a whole nother conversation. But right, why don't we do a poll? Should we do a listener poll? Let's do a listener poll. Right,
Yep,
steak.
absolutely.
Come
Totally on board with that. Let's get people writing in and saying. And by the way, just before we do lock up this particular episode, which, by the way, looking at the timings, will probably be in 2. Sorry to do that, but it does help with the coordination. So it'll probably be in 2. So this will be part 2 of Dr. Rachel's part 1 and Fergus's part 1 with us on this subject. So I'll put it in the notes in part 1, so it'll come through to part 2 as well. Basically, Dr. Rachel, Fergus has already got her info down on the notes in terms of coming through to you, Fergus. You like it best on LinkedIn, don't you? Dr. Rachel.
Oh my god, yeah, it's so much easier.
Could I put for you a link where people can contact you if they so wish?
Yeah, they can find me on Substack. That's the only kind of
Substack you are.
Yeah,
okay.
that's the only kind of platform that I use ethically.
Does it have a particular thing?
You'll find me at Dr. Rachel Taylor.
Oh, at Dr. Rachel Taylor Substack.
Yeah.
Is that it? Brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. And as I always say, hopefully we'll see you again next week.
If you'd like to help Carlton keep producing the Black Spy podcast and receive episodes and information that's only available to Carlton's special Patreon agents, then you can donate as little as £3, €4 or $5 a month by signing up with Patreon. See the Black Spy podcast notes or Google Patreon Black Spy podcast and pledge your monthly amount. You can even win the opportunity to be a guest on the show. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe for free.
Here is a working class spy telling his stories, the secrets, the lives of spies. Feel free to message Carlton King on all socials and give this show 5 stars on Apple iTunes and subscribe so you never miss a single episode. For your ears only.
I was a member of Her Majesty's Secret Intelligence Service.